In the heart of the Caribbean, a story unfolds. A story of resilience, a story of revolution. This is the story of Haiti, a nation forged in the fires of struggle. Haiti, the first Black republic, stands as a beacon of hope. It is a testament to the unyielding human spirit. Haiti's journey is unique. It is a tapestry woven with threads of triumph and tragedy. From its indigenous roots to its hard-won independence, Haiti's history captivates the imagination. It is a story that deserves to be told and retold. Long before the arrival of European ships, the island of Hispaniola thrived. The Taino people called it Haiti, land of high mountains. They were a vibrant people, skilled in agriculture and art. Their connection to the land ran deep, their spirit woven into the fabric of the island. The year 1492 marked a turning point. Christopher Columbus, in his quest for a westward passage to the Indies, landed on Hispaniola's shores. This encounter, heralded as a discovery, would have devastating consequences for the indigenous population. The arrival of Europeans brought not only new goods and ideas, but also disease and enslavement. The Taino, decimated by disease and brutality, fought valiantly to protect their homeland. But their resistance was met with overwhelming force. The echoes of their struggle would forever reverberate through the island's history. The Spanish, followed by the French, sought to exploit Hispaniola's riches. Sugar plantations, fueled by the brutal slave trade, became the backbone of the colony's economy. The indigenous population, their numbers dwindling, were replaced by enslaved Africans, brought across the Atlantic in chains. The Taino people lived in harmony with the land. They called themselves children of the sun and the earth. Their lives were a delicate dance with nature, their spirits intertwined with the rhythms of the island. Skilled farmers, they cultivated cassava, maize, and tobacco, their crops flourishing under the Caribbean sun. The Taino were master weavers, their hammocks and baskets works of art. They crafted pottery adorned with intricate designs, each piece telling a story whispered through generations. Their music, filled with the sounds of drums and conch shells, echoed through the lush forests, celebrating life, love, and the spirits that surrounded them. Their villages, nestled amongst the verdant hills, were alive with laughter and community. The Taino believed in a spirit world, a realm they interacted with through rituals and offerings. Their chiefs, caciques, held both spiritual and political authority, guiding their people with wisdom and respect. For centuries, the Taino thrived in their island paradise. They lived in balance with nature, their culture a testament to their resilience and creativity. But their world, so carefully crafted, was about to be irrevocably changed. The year 1492 brought with it a new era, one that would forever alter the fate of the Taino people. Christopher Columbus, with his dreams of gold and glory, made landfall on Hispaniola, an island teeming with life and unaware of the darkness that loomed on the horizon. The encounter, a clash of cultures, marked the beginning of the end for the indigenous way of life. Initially, the Taino welcomed the newcomers with curiosity and open arms. They offered gifts of food and water, their hospitality a testament to their peaceful nature, but their generosity was met with greed. Columbus, blinded by his quest for riches, saw only opportunity, the island's beauty eclipsed by the promise of gold and conquest. The Spanish, driven by their insatiable hunger for wealth and power, quickly asserted their dominance. They claimed the island for the Spanish crown, their flags planted firmly on Taino soil. What began as exploration quickly turned into exploitation. The Spaniards, with their advanced weaponry and unyielding ambition, began to enslave the native population, forcing them to labor in mines and on plantations. The Taino, their peaceful existence shattered, resisted the invaders with courage and determination. They fought bravely to protect their families, their land, their very way of life. But they were ill-prepared for the brutality they faced. European diseases brought over on those fateful ships swept through the indigenous population like wildfire, decimating their numbers and weakening their resistance. As the 17th century dawned, Hispaniola, once a sanctuary for the Taino, transformed into a battleground for European empires. The western part of the island fell under French control, christened Saint-Domingue, It would soon become the jewel in the French colonial crown. But this wealth came at a terrible price, extracted from the blood and sweat of enslaved Africans. Saint-Domingue's fertile plains, bathed in sunshine, proved ideal for cultivating sugar. Vast plantations stretching as far as the eye could see replaced the once thriving indigenous villages. The demand for sugar in Europe soared, fueling a lucrative but inhumane trade. To satisfy this insatiable appetite, ship after ship arrived from Africa, their holds overflowing with human cargo. The enslaved Africans endured unimaginable horrors. Ripped from their families and homelands, they were subjected to the brutal realities of plantation life. Under the relentless Caribbean sun, they toiled, their bodies broken by exhaustion. The whip of the overseer, a constant threat, served as a grim reminder of their subjugation. The mortality rate on the plantations was staggering. Disease, malnutrition, and overwork claimed countless lives. The French colonists, driven by profit, saw their slaves as expendable, easily replaced with fresh arrivals from across the Atlantic. The island of Hispaniola, once a paradise, had become a living hell for the enslaved Africans. Despite the horrors they faced, the enslaved Africans refused to be broken. The spirit of their ancestors, the memory of freedom, burned bright within their hearts. In the hush of the night, away from the watchful eyes of their oppressors, they clung to their traditions, their songs and stories, a lifeline to their stolen heritage. Whispers of resistance, carried on the wind, began to circulate through the plantations. Runaway slaves, known as Maroons, sought refuge in the island's rugged mountains. There, they formed their own communities, their spirits unbroken, their determination to resist, fueled by a burning desire for freedom. The French colonists, blinded by their own greed, failed to recognize the strength that simmered beneath the surface. They dismissed the enslaved Africans as simple and docile, incapable of organized rebellion. But the seeds of discontent had been sown, and in the fertile ground of shared suffering, they began to take root. The stories of resistance, whispered from plantation to plantation, ignited a spark of hope in the hearts of the oppressed. The enslaved Africans, bound together by their shared plight, began to dream of a different future, a future where they were no longer defined by the chains that bound them. The spirit of Haiti, the land of high mountains, lived on in their hearts, a beacon guiding them towards a brighter tomorrow. The air in Saint-Domingue crackled with a tension thicker than the humid air. The whispers of defiance, once timid and hushed, grew bolder, carried on the winds that swept across the sugarcane fields. Each lash of the overseer's whip, each shackled limb, each life extinguished by cruelty, fueled the growing flames of resentment. The enslaved Africans, their bodies weary but their spirits unbroken, watched and waited for their moment. News traveled slowly, passed from person to person under the cover of darkness. Stories of successful maroon communities, havens carved out of the island's rugged interior, offered a glimmer of hope. These tales of resistance, whispered around flickering candlelight, planted seeds of defiance in the hearts of the oppressed. The French colonists, blinded by their arrogance and greed, remained oblivious to the simmering unrest. They saw only the sweat on their brows, the sugarcane harvested, the profits amassed. They dismissed the enslaved Africans as simple, incapable of organized resistance. They failed to grasp the depth of their desperation, the strength born of their unwavering belief in a future free from chains. But beneath the surface, a storm brewed. Deep in the heart of the island, hidden from the prying eyes of the French, a clandestine meeting took place. Under the cloak of night, illuminated by the flickering light of torches, a group of enslaved Africans gathered. They were led by a man named Boukman Duddy, a Vodou Hongan, a priest, his eyes burning with an inner fire. He spoke of freedom, of justice, of the wrath of the Loa against the injustices inflicted upon their people. The air crackled with anticipation. Boukman, his voice resonating with power and conviction, invoked the spirits of their ancestors. He called upon Ogu, the warrior Loa, to lend them strength in battle. He summoned Azili Dantor, the fierce protector, to shield them from harm. He implored the Loa to guide their hands and steel their hearts for the struggle ahead. The ceremony reached its crescendo. Animals were sacrificed, their blood offered to the Loa, as a symbol of their commitment. The rhythmic beat of drums reverberated through the night, a primal call to action. The enslaved Africans, their bodies swaying in unison, chanted in unison, their voices a chorus of defiance against the tyranny of their oppressors. That night, under the watchful eyes of the Loa, a pact was made. The fight for freedom had begun. The spirit of resistance, ignited in the hearts of the oppressed, would soon engulf the entire island in flames. The hour of the Loa had arrived. The night of August 22nd, 1791, arrived heavy with the scent of rain and revolution. The drums, silent during the day, now pounded with a furious urgency. Their rhythm, a call to arms, echoed across the plantations of Saint-Domingue. The enslaved Africans, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames of rebellion, were ready to reclaim their stolen freedom. The uprising began in the northern plains, a wildfire of rage fueled by years of pent-up anger and frustration. Plantations went up in flames, the night sky ablaze with the inferno. The enslaved, armed with machetes, farm implements, and whatever weapons they could salvage, fought with the ferocity of a people pushed to the brink. The French colonists, caught completely off guard by the scale and intensity of the revolt, scrambled to defend their lives and their ill-gotten gains. They underestimated the courage and resolve of the enslaved Africans. Their arrogance blinded them to the simmering discontent that had been brewing for decades. News of the rebellion spread like wildfire across the island, igniting the hopes of those still trapped in chains. From the sugar plantations of the north to the coffee fields of the south, enslaved Africans rose up against their oppressors, their cries for freedom echoing through the night. The Haitian Revolution, a beacon of hope for the oppressed around the world, had begun. As the fires of rebellion raged across Saint-Domingue, a leader emerged from the chaos, a figure destined to become a legend. His name was Toussaint Louverture, a former slave whose strategic brilliance and unwavering commitment to freedom would change the course of history. Born into slavery on the Breda plantation, Toussaint possessed a sharp intellect and an unyielding spirit, qualities that would serve him well in the tumultuous years to come. Toussaint's early life was marked by the brutality of plantation life. He witnessed firsthand the cruelty inflicted upon his fellow enslaved Africans, the daily degradation and dehumanization that fueled their collective rage. But even in the darkest of times, Toussaint never lost hope. He taught himself to read and write, his thirst for knowledge a beacon in the darkness. When the revolution erupted in 1791, Toussaint, then in his late 40s, seized the opportunity to fight for the liberation of his people. He joined the ranks of the rebels, his natural leadership qualities quickly becoming apparent. Toussaint possessed a keen strategic mind, his understanding of military tactics honed through observation and experience. Toussaint's reputation as a skilled tactician and a charismatic leader spread like wildfire. He rallied the formerly enslaved Africans under his command, instilling in them a sense of discipline, purpose, and unwavering belief in their cause. His army, a force to be reckoned with, grew in strength with each passing victory. Section 2. A Leader's Vision. Freedom and Autonomy for Saint-Domingue. Toussaint Louverture was more than a military commander. He was a visionary leader with a profound understanding of the complexities facing Saint-Domingue. He envisioned a future where the horrors of slavery were but a distant memory, replaced by a society built on the foundations of freedom, equality, and self-determination. His vision extended beyond simply ending slavery. He aspired to create a nation where all citizens, regardless of their race or social standing, could live in dignity and prosperity. Central to Toussaint's vision was the idea of autonomy for Saint-Domingue. He recognized that true freedom required not only liberation from the shackles of slavery, but also independence from the clutches of colonial rule. Toussaint understood that the island's destiny lay not in being a pawn in the games of European empires, but in charting its own course as a sovereign nation. To realize his vision, Toussaint embarked on a multifaceted strategy. He understood that military victories alone would not be enough to secure lasting freedom. Toussaint recognized the importance of rebuilding Saint-Domingue's shattered economy, which had been devastated by years of conflict. He implemented policies aimed at reviving the plantation system, not through forced labor, but through a system of paid work that would benefit both former slaves and the nation as a whole. Toussaint also placed great emphasis on education. He believed that knowledge was the key to empowerment, essential for building a just and prosperous society. He established schools across the island, providing opportunities for formerly enslaved Africans to acquire the skills and knowledge they needed to participate fully in the newly emerging social order. Section 3. Turning the Tide, Victories Against All Odds. The fight for Haitian independence was a brutal and bloody affair, a relentless struggle against seemingly insurmountable odds. Toussaint Louverture and his forces faced not only the French colonial army, but also challenges from Spanish and British forces seeking to capitalize on the chaos. Yet, despite the constant threat of invasion, betrayal, and overwhelming military superiority, the spirit of the Haitian Revolution remained unbroken. Toussaint's military genius shone brightly on the battlefields of Saint-Domingue. He employed guerrilla warfare tactics to great effect, utilizing his knowledge of the island's rugged terrain to outmaneuver and ambush larger, better-equipped enemy forces. His victories, often achieved against seemingly insurmountable odds, earned him the respect of his enemies and solidified his status as a legendary military commander. One of Toussaint's most significant victories came at the Battle of Vertières in 1803. Facing a formidable French expeditionary force sent to crush the rebellion and reassert colonial control, Toussaint's army fought with unwavering courage and determination. The Haitian forces, inspired by their leaders' unwavering belief in their cause, inflicted a crushing defeat upon the French, effectively ending Napoleon's dream of reclaiming Saint-Domingue as a French colony. Toussaint's military triumphs were not merely a testament to his strategic brilliance, they were a testament to the courage, resilience, and unwavering belief in freedom that burned within the hearts of the Haitian people. They fought not only for their own liberation, but for the liberation of generations to come, their sacrifices paving the way for the birth of the world's first Black Republic. Section 1. A World at War. Saint-Domingue's Uncertain Alliances. The flames of revolution in Saint-Domingue did not go unnoticed. Across the Atlantic, the world watched with bated breath as the formerly enslaved challenged the might of European empires. The American Revolution, a beacon of hope for Toussaint and his followers, had demonstrated that even the most powerful of colonial powers could be defeated. However, the geopolitical landscape was shifting rapidly. The rise of Napoleon Bonaparte in France introduced a new layer of complexity to the fight for Haitian independence. Napoleon's ambitions extended far beyond the shores of Europe. He envisioned a French empire that spanned the globe, with Saint-Domingue, a prized possession due to its lucrative sugar plantations, at its heart. Toussaint, a shrewd observer of international affairs, found himself walking a tightrope of diplomacy. He sought to secure the fledgling nation's independence while navigating the treacherous waters of European power struggles. The specter of invasion loomed large. Spain and Britain, eager to capitalize on the upheaval in Saint-Domingue and curtail French influence in the region, posed constant threats. Toussaint, faced with the daunting task of defending the island on multiple fronts, entered into uneasy alliances, always aware that the interests of these powerful nations did not always align with those of a free and independent Haiti. The struggle for Saint-Domingue's future was not confined to the battlefields. It played out in diplomatic circles, in the halls of power, and in the hearts and minds of people across the globe. The Haitian Revolution, with its message of liberty and equality, had become a global event, its impact resonating far beyond the shores of the Caribbean. Section 2. Seeds of Doubt. Napoleon's Ambitions and Toussaint's Dilemma. Napoleon's rise to power in France cast a long shadow over Saint-Domingue. While initially proclaiming his support for the abolition of slavery, Napoleon harbored grand designs for the island colony. He saw Saint-Domingue as a crucial source of revenue, essential for financing his military campaigns and solidifying France's position as a global power. Toussaint, acutely aware of Napoleon's ambitions, found himself facing an impossible choice. On the one hand, Toussaint understood the importance of securing official recognition from France to ensure Saint-Domingue's long-term stability. He knew that, without French recognition, the island would remain vulnerable to invasion and economic isolation. On the other hand, Toussaint refused to compromise on the hard-won freedoms gained through years of bloodshed. He would not accept a return to the days of slavery and colonial subjugation. The tension between Toussaint and Napoleon grew with each passing month. Napoleon, eager to reassert French control over Saint-Domingue, dispatched a massive expeditionary force under the command of his brother-in-law, General Charles Leclerc, to the island. Leclerc was tasked with a two-pronged mission: to restore French authority and to capture Toussaint Louverture, the symbol of Haitian resistance. Toussaint, faced with this new threat, found himself caught in a web of deceit and intrigue. He attempted to negotiate with Leclerc, hoping to find a peaceful solution that would preserve Saint-Domingue's autonomy. However, Napoleon's true intentions soon became clear. He had no intention of honoring any agreement that recognized Haitian independence. The stage was set for a final tragic confrontation. Section 3. The Lion's Trap. Betrayal and capture in a time of unrest. Despite his military prowess and political acumen, Toussaint Louverture fell victim to a cunning act of betrayal. Leclerc, under Napoleon's orders, employed a combination of false promises and military force to undermine Toussaint's authority and sow discord among the Haitian ranks. He exploited existing tensions between black and mulatto factions, promising amnesty and rewards to those who turned against Toussaint. In a tragic turn of events, some of Toussaint's most trusted lieutenants, swayed by Leclerc's promises and fearful of French reprisals, switched sides. The Haitian forces, weakened by internal divisions and facing a well-equipped French army, fought valiantly but were ultimately forced to retreat. The dream of a united and independent Haiti seemed to be slipping away. In June 1802, Toussaint, believing that he could negotiate a peaceful settlement and prevent further bloodshed, agreed to meet with Leclerc under a flag of truce. The meeting, however, proved to be a trap. Leclerc, acting on Napoleon's orders, accused Toussaint of plotting against the French and placed him under arrest. Betrayed by those he had trusted and stripped of his hard-won authority, Toussaint was shipped off to France, a prisoner in his own homeland. The capture of Toussaint Louverture sent shockwaves throughout Saint-Domingue and the wider world. The Lion, as he was known, had become a symbol of resistance against oppression, his name synonymous with the fight for freedom and equality. His imprisonment marked a dark chapter in the Haitian Revolution, but it did not extinguish the flames of resistance that burned brightly in the hearts of the Haitian people. Section 1. A legacy forged in the fire of rebellion. Toussaint Louverture's capture was a devastating blow, but the spirit of rebellion he ignited continued to burn. His lieutenants, including the brilliant military strategist Jean-Jacques Dessalines, rallied the Haitian forces, their resolve strengthened by the injustice of their leader's imprisonment. The fight for freedom, once led by the Lion, continued with renewed fervor. The French, despite their initial victories, soon discovered that controlling Saint-Domingue was a far cry from subduing it. The island, once a symbol of colonial wealth, became a battleground of resistance. Yellow fever, a relentless enemy, ravaged the French ranks, decimating their numbers and sapping their morale. The Haitian forces, accustomed to the tropical climate and fueled by their unwavering determination, pressed their advantage. News of Toussaint's death in a French prison in 1803 reached Saint-Domingue, sparking both grief and outrage. His death, a symbol of colonial brutality, served as a rallying cry for the Haitian people. They would not let the sacrifice of their leader be in vain. The fight for independence, now a fight to honor Toussaint's legacy, entered its final decisive phase. On January 1, 1804, after years of struggle and sacrifice, Jean-Jacques Dessalines declared Haiti's independence. The first black republic in the world was born, a testament to the unyielding human spirit and the transformative power of revolution. This victory sent shockwaves across the globe, inspiring oppressed people everywhere and challenging the very foundations of the colonial order. Section 2. The Unbreakable Spirit of Haiti. Haiti's journey to independence was a testament to the indomitable spirit of its people. From the indigenous Taino, who first called this island home to the enslaved Africans who fought for their birthright, Haiti's history is a tapestry woven with threads of resilience, courage, and an unwavering belief in freedom. The legacy of the Haitian Revolution extends far beyond the shores of this island nation. It stands as a beacon of hope for the oppressed, a testament to the power of collective action, and a reminder that even the most deeply entrenched systems of oppression can be challenged and overthrown. Despite facing numerous challenges in the centuries since independence, the Haitian people have never given up on their dreams of a just and equitable society. They have faced natural disasters, political turmoil, and economic hardship with the same unwavering spirit that fueled their ancestors' fight for liberation. Haiti's story is a reminder that the pursuit of freedom is an ongoing struggle, a journey that requires constant vigilance, unwavering courage, and an unwavering belief in the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity. It is a story that continues to inspire, challenge, and remind us that the fight for a more just and equitable world is a fight worth fighting.
We are ZMN, Zion Media Network.